This is for those who are truly seeking. Not just listening, but listening with your whole being. You reach a point on your path where more information just doesn't cut it. When the next viral quote, the next self-help book, or the next seminar no longer fills that hole inside, you start to get it. The answers you've been chasing aren't out there. They're a quiet frequency humming deep inside you, waiting for you to get still, waiting for you to stop explaining, stop performing, and just start being. But here's a profound truth, one you may have sensed but never fully grasped. The moment you uncover something potent about yourself, the moment you touch a piece of clarity that shifts your entire perspective, you'll feel this intense need to broadcast it, to articulate it, to tell everyone. This is completely human. It's your mind wanting to lock in the breakthrough. But a deeper wisdom offers different advice. Hold it close. Not because this clarity is shameful and not because it's a secret to be kept forever, but because certain things lose their power when aired out too soon. Some realizations are like a flame. You don't immediately expose a tiny new fire to a strong wind just to prove it exists. You shield it, you tend to it, you let it build its own heat until it's a steady burn. What you're rarely told is that announcing your growth too early is really your ego talking. We speak up because we want the acknowledgement. We want a round of applause for our discovery, but authentic wisdom doesn't grow in the soil of external validation. It takes root in the quiet, in the application, in as living your newfound clarity, not just recounting it. There's a pain that comes with waking up because you will see what is invisible to others. You will move through the world differently. Your perspective will stop craving things it once cherished. Your soul will become allergic to meaningless noise. You will outgrow rooms you once fought to get into. And in this evolution, you will experience a specific kind of loneliness. A loneliness that aches for connection, that urges you to justify your new self, to prove to everyone else that you've leveled up, that you finally get it. But stillness is your true training ground. Because in that quiet, you are no longer trying to persuade anybody. You are simply letting that clarity become part of your bones. The potency of your shift is not measured by how many people you announce it to. It is measured by how fully you integrate it. Hold it close not because others are less than you, but because what is sacred demands your protection. A day will come when you see with perfect clarity how carelessly words are thrown around, how easily we give away our internal power by trying to rationalize what we should be busy mastering. You will see that not just anyone has earned a VIP pass to your inner world. Not because they are malicious, but because they are simply not there yet. Some people are still navigating the very valleys you just climbed out of. And if you hand them the coordinates to your summit, they will only question your climb. They don't have the context for that altitude. It's not your duty to airlift them with your words. You are not meant to be a convincing speaker. You are meant to be a living evolution. And that evolution is mostly a quiet affair. It happens in the private moments when you pick discipline over distraction, when you retreat from drama instead of fueling it, when you stay with your discomfort instead of trying to outrun it. These are the choices that build an unshakable you, not the moments you declare your growth, but the moments you demonstrate it through action. So the next time you feel that internal shift, that profound realization pushing to be spoken, just pause. Ask yourself, does the world need to hear this, or do I need to live this first? The answer is almost always the second one. You deserve the gift of embodying your own wisdom. Let the truth change you before you try to use it to change anyone else. Because when it is genuine, when it is truly woven into the fabric of your character, you won't have to put it into words. Your very presence will communicate it for you. Your calm, your choices, your quiet. They will resonate far louder than any declaration you could ever make. This is how you develop a compelling energy. This is how you become centered and whole. You stop leaking your power. You stop commentating on your own becoming as if it's a breaking news story. Instead, you move as if the transformation is already a fact. That's the secret, and once you truly get it, you know to hold it close. There is a subtle principle in this universe that few discuss because it cannot be merely explained. It has to be experienced. That principle is this: when you speak a new insight prematurely, you forfeit it. Not because the insight is weak, but because your bond with it is still forming. When you first connect with a major realization, it feels like a lightning strike. It courses through your consciousness. Suddenly, everything clicks. The past struggles, the confusion, it all locks into a bigger design. And in that clarity, the compulsion to share is enormous. But here is the guidance you were never given. Not everything is meant to be spoken instantly. A truth is like fire. If your container is not yet strong enough to hold it, you will get burned and burn others. The initial spark is never the entire transformation. It is the start of a much deeper embodiment. Speaking about your insight too soon is like pouring precious water into a vessel that is still fragile. It cracks. The water is gone. You need to understand your words have energy, but they also carry a huge responsibility. When you describe things you haven't yet fully integrated, it's like sketching a landscape from memory after a single visit. The details will be fuzzy. The proportions will be wrong. Anyone who uses that sketch will get turned around. The practice of quiet after a breakthrough isn't a penalty. It is a shield. It's a shield for you to give your mind, body, and spirit time to fully align with this new knowing. It's a shield for the wisdom itself, so it can dig its roots deep into your actions, your choices, and your very nature. Because until your everyday behavior reflects your epiphany, it's not yet fully yours. It's still just an idea, and ideas are vulnerable. They can be warped not only by our own doubts, but by how the world reacts when we voice them. When you offer a potent realization to someone who isn't open, it may feel like a gift, but it isn't. You are actually putting your own fragile growth on the line. You are offering something precious to a person who can't perceive its value. They will challenge it, minimize it, or dismiss it entirely. If you aren't yet anchored in your truth, their disbelief can make you second-guess yourself, undoing what was a moment of absolute clarity. In this way, your ego can trick you by wearing a mask of generosity. I have to share this with everyone. It insists. But a master doesn't rush to instruct. A master lets their own life become the curriculum first. True mastery is never announced. A redwood tree doesn't shout when it adds a new ring of growth. It just grows, steadily, quietly, and with undeniable presence. Those who need its shelter will eventually find it. In the same way, your development will become obvious over time in how you conduct yourself, how you manage pressure, how you interact with others without seeking their validation. And this presence will speak volumes more than any story you could ever tell. It's crucial to recognize that some people rely on your self-doubt to feel secure in their own lives. If you voice a new, transformative insight to people who are attached to staying where they are, they will often try to reel you back in. It's not usually from a place of malice, but from a place of fear. Your progress is a mirror to their own stagnation. Your clarity shines a light on their own confusion. So they push back not because you're wrong, but because they are terrified you might be right. And if your roots in this new understanding aren't deep, you'll be shaken. This is precisely why silence is the first step. Not a forever silence, but one that lasts just long enough for your insight to mature into unwavering strength. You only speak once your words don't require external agreement. You only share when your truth is no longer vulnerable to another's rejection. At that point, you're not trying to win an argument. You are simply revealing what you have become. There's another dimension to this. When you refrain from talking about your realizations, you give them the space to work on you. They start to reshape your habits in subtle ways. The way you start your day, the way you pay attention, the way you disengage from things that drain your energy. These are the real markers of change. They are quiet, they are personal, and they are incredibly powerful. People around you will sense it. Even if they don't have the words for it, they will feel the change in your energy, a new solidity, a certain gravity, a commanding presence. That is the vibration of a person who has found something potent and held it inside long enough to fully absorb it. So, the next time you have a major aha moment, fight the urge to explain it. Let your stillness be its incubator. Let your silence be its guardian. Let your actions become its expression. And in time, when the seed is a full-grown tree, you will realize you don't need to say a thing. People will be drawn to you not for your declarations, but for your way of being. And on the rare occasion you do choose to speak, they will hang on every word, not because you are loud, but because your quiet has made your voice matter. That is authentic power. That is knowing when to say absolutely nothing. There is a powerful and essential truth in this life that most are unwilling to face. Not everyone is equipped for what you now know. Not everyone has the capacity to see what you can now perceive. And not everyone has a soul strong enough to hold the very awareness that has been granted to you. When a profound realization dawns on you, it feels like an incredible treasure. But our biggest error is in thinking it will be seen as a treasure by others. It will not, especially when it's unsolicited, especially if they are still invested in the exact paradigm that this wisdom helped you break free from. The fundamental nature of real clarity is that it's disruptive. It shatters comforting illusions. It illuminates dusty corners that people would much rather keep in shadows. It demands evolution, and evolution is uncomfortable. So when you present this disruptive clarity to those who aren't seeking it, it will not be embraced. It will be pushed away, belittled, or even fiercely opposed. Think about it like this: you've been outside, and your eyes are fully adjusted to the bright sun of your new awareness. Then you walk into a dimly lit room where people have made their home. You don't see the room as dark. You see it as a place that desperately needs light, so you throw open the curtains. But to them, the sudden glare isn't a blessing, it's an aggressive, painful intrusion. In this game, timing is non-negotiable. The right message at the wrong time can be just as damaging as a lie. This is why wisdom's greatest ally is patience. When you grasp something transformative, your role isn't to go on a crusade and convert the masses. Your role is to embody that truth fully, to live it out. Let your life itself be the undeniable evidence of what you have discovered. Because if a person is not already on a quest for their own clarity, your words would just sound like confusing static, or even worse, a judgment against them. This becomes especially painful when it's the people closest to you who are still in that dimly lit room. You desperately want them to see. You want them to level up with you. You want them to feel the freedom you've found. But a personal shift cannot be outsourced. It's a journey each person must choose and walk for themselves. A butterfly can't explain its reality to a caterpillar and make it transform. It can only model what's possible by flying. Sharing your deep breakthroughs with the wrong audience is like trying to plant a forest in a parking lot. No matter how powerful the seeds, they simply can't take root in concrete. If you keep trying to force it, you will only deplete your own energy and be left feeling misunderstood, invalidated, or even betrayed. The sting you feel isn't because your insight wasn't genuine. It's because you failed to see the lack of fertile ground in the person before you. There is also a hidden arrogance in the idea that your purpose is to wake up other people. It is not. Awakening is a deeply personal affair. It doesn't matter how eloquent you are or how profound your insight is. It cannot be received where there isn't a deep sense of openness. You might have the urge to grab people by the shoulders and tell them how much more there is to life. But until they are ready to receive with their spirit, not just with their ears, your wisdom will sound hollow, or worse, They will take your words and bend them into a weapon to use against you. This is why silence becomes the partner of wisdom. By remaining quiet, you are not abandoning your truth. You are honoring it. You are communicating that this is sacred ground. This is not for sport. This isn't a debate topic. This is a master key that opens new realities. And I will not hand it to someone who is determined to stay in a locked room. Let your quiet example be the invitation. Let the way you navigate life create a powerful curiosity. Let your inner peace be so potent that it subtly disrupts their chaos, not through sermons, but through your mere presence. People don't follow explanations, they are drawn to a certain energy. If you have genuinely integrated something substantial, it will change your posture, your decision making, your entire energetic signature. Others will sense this shift. They may not comment at first, but when the moment is right for them, when they are finally seeking, they will come to you and ask. And when a question is born from genuine openness, that is when the door is finally ready to be unlocked. This is how true transformation ripples outward. Not through aggressive pushing, but through resonance. You embody your knowing so completely and so silently that it radiates from you. It becomes magnetic. Those who are ready to rise will sense that pull, and they will approach not to challenge, but to learn. Until that moment arrives, you must keep your treasure secure. Hold it in the vault of your heart. Let it ripen within you long before you ever consider speaking of it. The world may not be ready for your change, but you must be solid in it. Because if you try to persuade others before your own foundation is rock solid, you risk getting sucked back into the very state of mind you worked so hard to escape. And that is the unspoken risk of sharing your power too soon. Your insight may be real, but if it is still new, the wrong environment can shatter it. So hold it tight. Let your stillness be the forge of your strength. And trust that when they are truly ready, they won't need you to shout. There is a world of difference between being strong and being powerful. Strength is about what you can do. Power is about what you know not to do. This is a point of mastery that most people miss entirely. They mistake power for being loud, for asserting dominance, or for trying to control outcomes. But authentic power, the kind that silently redirects, lives, and reshapes destinies, is quiet. It is measured. It has nothing to prove. It doesn't need to make an entrance. It has no need for an announcement because it is already profoundly aware of what it is. When you encounter a person who has journeyed through their own darkness, stared down their own demons, and come out the other side with wisdom, you'll sense something subtle but absolute about them. They don't jump to defend themselves. They absorb more than they project. Their very being has a weight to it, not because they are demanding attention, but because they've earned that substance. This is restraint, and restraint is the hallmark of someone who possesses immense power and has learned to wield it with intention. We exist in a culture where everyone is desperate for validation, to be seen, heard, and liked. Social media platforms, daily chats, even our close relationships often devolve into performances. Everyone is transmitting. Almost no one is receiving. Everyone is putting something out there, but so little of it comes from a place of genuine substance. It has all become static, and in the middle of all that static, the truly commanding individuals are the quiet ones. They are the ones who get that some things are too precious for public display. That profound insight isn't a medal you pin to your chest. It's an internal fire that you have a duty to tend and protect. You have to get this. Restraint is not a sign of weakness or passivity. It means you have mastered the impulse to react, to talk over someone, to have the last word. It means you can hold your center when tested. It means you can let another person be wrong and not feel the need to correct them simply to gratify your ego. That is not weakness. That is unshakable clarity. Because the second you feel the need to prove your worth, you've handed your value over to someone else. And that is never power. That is just insecurity dressed up in a confident costume. There is a profound discipline in holding your knowing internally, in not requiring the world's approval for it to be real. Some things are simply meant for you to live, not for you to talk about. When you figure out something that is truly game-changing about yourself or about the nature of reality, your immediate desire may be to broadcast it. But wisdom isn't a show, it's a practice. It must be internalized, integrated, and then expressed through your actual behavior. Consider a master of a craft like a chef. The world-class chefs are not the ones constantly talking about their recipes. They are the ones calmly, quietly executing with precision. Why? Because they don't have to boast about what they know. They have embodied it. Their self-control is not a strain, it's second nature. It's a product of discipline, of countless hours, of private failures and hard-earned success. They have learned that real power is not what you advertise, it's what you hold in reserve. This same exact rule applies to your inner world. The better you understand yourself, the less you need anyone else to. The more profound your clarity, the less you'll feel drawn into arguments. You let go of the need to win debates. You no longer live for applause. You allow people to underestimate you, to get you wrong, or even to mock you, because you have learned that your reality doesn't need their signature to be valid. That is true power. Silent, rooted, and impossible to disturb. But restraint doesn't just shield your power, it intensifies it. Every time you hold your tongue when it would have been easy to react, every time you opt for quiet presence over a loud performance, you strengthen your inner core. You become more focused, more centered, more impactful. Instead of spraying your energy everywhere trying to convince people, you pull it inward to fortify yourself. And with every act of intentional restraint, your awareness becomes sharper. You start to see with piercing clarity who is worthy of your energy and who is not, what is truth and what is merely noise. This clarity becomes your guidance system. It informs your choices, not your reactive emotions. You are no longer just reacting to life. You are consciously responding with purpose and precision. This is the birthplace of transformation, when your existence ceases to be a reaction to the outside world and becomes a deliberate manifestation of your inner truth. In many ancient traditions, restraint was considered the ultimate sign of maturity. It signified that you had arrived at a point where your inner peace was your highest priority, where you refused to let external events or other people destabilize your center. And the most incredible thing about this state is that others feel it. They might not be able to name it. They might even be intimidated by it. But they feel it. And slowly, a shift happens in how they engage with you. Not because you fought for their respect, but because your self-mastery ignited their curiosity, making them wonder what you know that they are missing. And when they finally, genuinely ask, you'll know that they are truly ready. You will have no need to persuade them. You will simply speak, and the words will land with incredible force because you waited, because you valued the truth enough to protect it, and because you didn't drain your power trying to show it off before it was time. This is what it means to move with quiet power. This is what it means to understand the secret and to master saying nothing. You reach a stage in your personal evolution where the most potent move you can make is to say nothing at all. Not because your mind is empty, but because you now grasp that silence is its own form of communication. When applied with intention, it can be more powerful than any speech, any debate, any attempt at self-defense. Silence is not the absence of energy. It is the consolidation of mastery. In the beginning phase of an awakening, we are often driven to explain ourselves. We feel the need to share every insight, every feeling, every epiphany. Like a cup filled to the brim, we feel we must pour ourselves out. But as you mature, you begin to see that not everyone is capable of receiving at the same frequency. Not everyone is prepared to hold the awareness you fought so hard to gain. And critically, not every environment is worthy of your voice. This is the moment silence becomes a strategic choice, one made from a place of profound clarity, not from fear. In stillness, you get to see your own hidden agenda. Are you speaking out of a need for approval, out of a desire to be correct? Is your ego begging for the spotlight? Or do you have the strength to stay quiet, to guard your energy, and to allow others to be where they are without it disturbing your own calm? Silence forces you to look at yourself with more honesty than words ever could. When you strip away the performance of explaining and justifying, the only thing left is your raw, unedited truth. And sitting with that truth without the buffer of words is where your most significant growth will occur. There is an ancient power in stillness. The world scrambles, yells, posts, and performs, but you simply don't. You observe, you sense, you understand. You learn to perceive the meaning behind the words. You listen not just to what is spoken, but to the emotions and intentions that are left unspoken. Your perception becomes incredibly sharp. You attune to shifts in energy, to subtle inflections, to the true meaning found in the pauses people take. This isn't just a lucky guess. It's a deliberate awareness, and it is forged in quiet. Consider the masters of martial arts. Their true advantage is not just in their physical prowess, but in their capacity to observe an adversary, to wait for the exact, perfect moment to engage. They are composed, centered, quiet, and when they move, it is never out of panic. It is always from a place of readiness. The same law governs your life. When you have mastered the art of being silent, you no longer talk just to fill an awkward void. You speak when you genuinely have something to contribute. And your decision to be silent is a conscious wielding of power, not an admission of weakness. In your relationships, quiet can be more therapeutic than any confrontation. Sometimes, people don't need your solutions. They just need your non-judgmental presence. Sometimes, they don't need to hear you. They need to finally hear themselves. When you cease to interrupt their journey with your opinions, you create the sacred space they need to reflect, to process, and to grow on their own terms. That kind of intentional silence is an act of deep respect, not of indifference. It proves that you trust them to navigate their own path, just as you once did. And when it comes to your own pain, silence can become your greatest sanctuary. You do not need to put your struggle on public display for it to be valid. You do not have to tweet your healing for it to be authentic. Some of the most profound healing unfolds in the quiet, when you can sit with yourself in stillness, free from external opinions, and just allow yourself to be, to feel, to integrate. That is the crucible of transformation. In silence, the shattered parts of you start to mend. Not because you forced them with your will, but because you finally gave them the space to realign naturally. Silence also guards your deepest ambitions. The more you talk about your dreams, your big plans, your next moves, the more you open them up to the energy of doubt, envy, or well-intentioned but misguided interference. There is immense power in building in private, in moving without fanfare, in evolving without having to explain your process. Let your results create the conversation. Let your tranquility be your testimony. When you hold your intentions close, they gain strength. They become deeply rooted. They are fueled by your own purpose, not by the need for external applause. And finally, silence is your ultimate teacher of patience. The world will constantly try to get a reaction out of you. People will bait you. Life will present scenarios that scream for an immediate response. But in quiet, you learn to pause, to observe, and to respond from a place of centered strength, not raw emotion. This doesn't mean you become mute. It means that when you do speak, your words are chosen with purpose, with clarity, and with maximum impact. Your words land with weight because they have been tempered and refined by stillness. This is the powerful secret so many fail to see. They believe power has to be loud, that wisdom needs a lengthy explanation, that a truth must be shouted to be real. But those who have gone deep enough know better. They know that silence isn't a void. It is fullness. It holds your resilience, your depth, your clarity. It is your boundary, your focus, your power, and your shield. So once you truly know something, not just with your mind, but in your soul and in your bones, resist the immediate urge to prove it. Instead, let it live inside you. Let it shape your actions. Let it redefine who you are. The world doesn't need another voice adding to the noise. It needs more people with the courage to be still until their time to speak has truly come. And when it does, they won't speak to be noticed. They will speak to illuminate. Until then, let stillness be your guide. The journey toward wisdom isn't a road paved with words. It's a path you carve out in silence. You forge through restraint, and you walk in your own solitude. When you have truly understood this, when you've experienced firsthand the transformative gravity that stillness holds, you no longer feel a need to prove to the world who you've become. You are done chasing the validation that you once thought was so vital. You stop engaging in conflicts that your spirit has long since moved past. You simply are. And this becoming, it happens in the quiet intervals when nobody is watching. In the dawn hours when the world is quiet and it's just you and your breath. In the late evenings when you review your choices, not to beat yourself up, but to fine-tune your internal compass. It unfolds in your poise, in your patience, in your choice to respond over reacting. It happens in the comments you decide not to make, the wins you don't feel the need to show off, and the pain you don't have to put on display. There is a commanding energy that emanates from the person who has outgrown the need to be loud. This kind of power is absolute. It is anchored. It doesn't rise and fall with praise or criticism. It isn't reliant on being validated or seen. It just is, like a great oak unbothered by the passing winds, like a candle flame that remains steady in a gale. The person who holds a great truth and chooses silence is not hiding something from others. They are honoring the sacred nature of what they have earned, because that is exactly what clarity is. It is earned through direct experience, through mistakes, through pain, and through quiet, relentless focus. And the more profound the insight, the less you want to treat it like casual gossip. Not because you're being secretive, but because you hold it in reverence. You understand its significance. You know that wisdom is not for decoration. It is for remaking you from the inside out. So you carry it within you. You allow it to calm your reactions. You allow it to hone your perception. You allow it to dissolve your ego. And you allow it to be your unwavering guide, even when the path is completely dark. You stop searching outside yourself for direction because you've learned to decode the messages in your own quiet. And in that stillness, you find clarity. You also find peace, the type of peace that doesn't depend on things going your way, but comes from you no longer needing to micromanage everything. The kind of peace that stays firm even when people get you wrong, question you, or provoke you. You don't fight to make your case because your energy has become precious. Your time has become precious. Your inner state is non-negotiable. You don't just give that power away anymore. This is when your life fundamentally begins to change, not because the world has changed around you, but because you have, and your internal shift, while subtle, creates an undeniable ripple effect. You move with a different grace. You speak with a different weight. Your decisions are made from a place of solid intention, not from a place of need. You invest your energy with precision, and you fiercely defend your stillness. You don't permit chaos into your heart. You don't let confusion take the wheel. You have become anchored, and from that anchor, you are incredibly strong. People will register this change in you long before they can articulate it. They won't know exactly why they feel drawn to your presence, why your few words land with such impact, or why your composure feels like a safe harbor. It's because you have done the work that most people avoid. You have ventured inward. You have sat in the silence long enough to learn that not all things need to be said. Not every insight requires an audience. Some things are meant just for you. So when the world tries to pull you back into its drama, when it dangles the bait of applause, arguments, or a moment in the spotlight, remember your mission. You are not here to be loud. You are here to be clear, to be grounded, to be real. And often, the most real thing you can possibly do is say nothing at all. Let your life become the testament to what you know. Let your actions be the echo of the lessons you've embodied. Let your silence speak with more authority than your voice ever could. That is how you earn respect without ever demanding it. That is how you have influence without ever using force. That is how you shield your power and continue to grow uninterrupted. Because once you've found that secret, once you've tasted the kind of clarity that cannot be purchased or broken, you'll understand why you must be its guardian. Not to keep it from others, but to keep it safe for yourself, so that it can continue to guide you, to refine you, and to do its silent, magnificent work within you. In a culture fixated on speaking, you must choose the discipline of listening. In a world addicted to constant noise, you must choose the courage of stillness. And in a world desperate for attention, you must choose the quiet, powerful path of becoming so centered they will feel your presence even when you don't say a word.